Hello, everybody, and welcome to Off the Rack. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany.
This is a comic book review and recap show where we take comics from this past week, tell you about what we thought about them, while also giving you a little bit of a recap, and then we talk about books that we recommend for the next week. But normally, we would do that, but this time around, things are a little different, as you can tell. Number one, I'm dressed nicely. Not like nicely is a relative term.
I didn't get the memo.
No, I'm just trying out different shirts, and so I forgot that it looked weird on camera. I also have glasses on.
Yeah, which I always do. So
you do, so maybe they think no, but I was caught unawares, and so I had to put on glasses. Right, like I had to see faster than I had time to get ready. So here I am. Also, Tiffany is not feeling great. So
I'm not feeling. I don't know what happened. I mean, I think I know what happened.
Yeah.
There's a person in my office who went to the Liberty Science Center with a bunch of kids.
Well, that's where they are.
And
that's where all of the children are.
She was out last week, one day, and then she came back.
Yeah.
You don't heal that fast.
No.
So.
No.
Just saying.
But we will be getting back into the swing of things as we go. You may, however, see us sooner than you think, because we will probably be available on a Twitch channel in the future, not ours, but rather on one you may have seen me on when I was hanging around on a fun-looking set by a neighboring...
This is like the worst burying the lead ever. You'll find out, though.
You will, yeah. I don't want to say it out loud because we don't have the confirmation email yet.
We don't.
But we are probably going to go over there.
What happens?
Yeah. Anyway, but before we jump into the comics, and I know you're champing at the bit, number one, shorter show today, so we apologize for that.
But that's just me. And also, I don't know. Stuff came out, but
stuff came out, but not a lot of that excited me. So, that, in addition to the fact that on Wednesday, hopefully you're feeling better by then.
I will.
Wednesday,
it's gonna happen.
This Wednesday, and you may have seen a fun picture that we threw up there on the social medias.
I love that picture.
But I wanted to use the channel's opportunity to tell you guys that we are going to be live at Zapp Comics, ZAPPComics.com in Wayne, New Jersey. We're going to be shooting a live episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Not live online, but rather live in person.
Yeah, which is I'm just oh my God. I've never felt so much pressure to read these books that we have to read.
Yeah.
Usually I'll read them the day before and refresh the day of, or some of them the day of when right before we shoot kind of thing, so that it's fresh. But this is kind of really know this.
Yeah.
There's no editing.
No.
I mean, there will be. I guess
I'm gonna cut it when I
was gonna say. I guess it should be as realistic as possible, what we really do.
Yeah, it should be a regular show. But you get to see how that goes.
Those of you who are going to be there are going to enjoy that. So.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that we're going to make it a dual experience. If you were there in person, and by the way, it's free. So you can show up at 7 p.m. In Wayne, New Jersey at Zapp Comics this Wednesday, the 15th of August, and see the show live. We will be shooting it like that. We're going to be shooting it, and we're also going to be performing it live. You'll see the show as it is in its uncut glory, and then I'm going to cut the show and make it look like a regular show. The only difference will be that you'll be able to hear the audience and maybe see them. I don't know if I'll have another camera.
We'll have to figure that out.
You'll definitely hear the audience's reaction, and the audience might be 3 people, so you might hear 3 people going "boo," which is par for the course.
That's gonna happen. It'll be me. Boo!
Yeah, hey, you're on the show.
Boo! I'll boo myself.
It's your segment.
Boo
it's your book.
Boo!
But yeah, so we're gonna be doing that, and we wanted to let you guys know in as much of a wide range as possible to let you guys have enough time to go.
Yeah.
If you can't make it on September 15th, we will be at the Keystone Comic-Con on the 15th of September. So come to the Keystone Comic-Con. We're going to have a panel on that Saturday at, I don't remember, I think it's 3 p.m. But anyway, go on Saturday at 9, the September 15th, Keystone Comic-Con in Philly. You're going to meet us. All the team is going to be there, and we're going to sign posters, and it's going to be a whole thing. It's going to be a lot of fun. So come see that. So come see us there. And maybe we'll do a thing in Baltimore, we'll see. But these are the certainties.
Right, that's fair.
Anyway.
I was just looking at the chat. Someone said, I feel like Ben should step in when someone's sick. I'm like, nope. I am a professional.
That's right.
Unless I am throwing up, I will be here.
Mm-hmm. Plus, Ben's busy.
Unless I'm asked not to be here because I'm so sick.
Exactly.
I should have gotten the... I have one of those cat masks.
Yeah, one of those
cat.
Japanese-inspired cat masks.
It's an angry cat.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So we've got a bunch of books. Well, a few books, really. So let's jump
we
into
have a
them.
few books, but we've got 2 big books and then one I think you just wanted to talk about. I think we should start with one big book, do the one you want to talk about, and then end with another big book. That's my proposal there.
All right, what book are we going to do?
I think we should start with Sandman, the Sandman universe, I should say.
Okay.
By DC Vertigo, obviously.
Yes.
Story by Neil Gaiman. Let's pay attention to that part. Story by, which I think is important because he was that involved enough for them to be able to put story by.
Yeah.
And then it's so much so that his face, there it is.
There's Neil Gaiman's
there
face.
There's Neil.
Hello.
It's just Neil just hanging out. They put the credits in the back, so just give me 1 second.
He's so friendly and unassuming. I don't really have an impression of him. It's
No,
just kind of like,
I
hello, I have a big library.
It's written by Simon Spurrier, Kat Howard, Nalo Hopkinson, and Dan Waters, with art by Bill Quist-Evely, Tom Fuller, Dominique Stanton, Max Fumiara, and Sebastian Fumiara. There's a reason for all of these artists and writers in here, simply because of the fact that this is one of those books that's like, hey, this is the kickoff for a bunch of books that are coming. So hopefully everybody kind of knew that going into it, because otherwise it's kind of like, what's happening? However, I think this is a really well-handled version of that type of story, where it's just like, we need to thread together a bunch of books, and they do so with an overarching story, or overarching, whatever you want, story like that kind of makes it work in a way, and only a way that like Neil Gaiman probably did propose, you know, where it was just like, this is how we're going to do it, this is how we're going to introduce these 4 books that are coming out, because don't forget, post this comic we'll be getting The Dreaming, Books of Magic will be returning to us, House of Whispers, which is an all-new house, and Lucifer will be back.
Yeah.
So you get a sampling of each of those in here.
Okay.
And I assume it's like, because they don't really give you credits pages in between, it's not like it's little vignettes.
Right,
It is
so it's
one
in
full comic.
Oh, cool.
From start to beginning, there's no break, essentially.
No ads either.
No ads. There's only ads in the like back, and by ads, it's just for like Vertigo trying to pump it up because it is a huge anniversary for Vertigo, of course.
Yeah.
But of course, we see that it's like DC Vertigo yet again instead of just being Vertigo. Fine, whatever. I don't really care.
Yeah, like they're not buying it because it says
but I
like
don't.
people are not buying it because it doesn't say DC on the cover.
Right.
Like, come on.
But essentially, this book is, you know, giving us our big setup, and I assume each part is written by the writer that's going to be writing their books.
I would assume that makes sense.
Each section of art, or each section of the book section is done by a different artist, but they all have the same colorist, which I think is the most
interesting
intelligent
unifier.
Yeah, it's like such an intelligent way to tie this whole book together, because some of the styles are very different. The Lucifer style in particular, very different from Books of Magic, very different from House of Whispers, but the color unifies it overall, like you said, and it just really helps, I think, with the read, because you're focused less on the jarring nature of like having the art shift because you notice it, but because of the color, like cohesiveness.
Yes, it feels like one story.
It's less like, oh, it's just kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Essentially, this book starts off where we're in The Dreaming. We're at like the castle, and like Lucian's in the library, and like he's having a rough time remembering certain things, and like he's like going through all the books, of course, the books that are unfinished stories, unfinished sonnets, unfinished songs, things that were never written, things that were dreamed of by creators. Just they're all there. That's what the library is.
That library was established in the Sandman book,
course.
but also touched upon in Dark Knight's Metal.
Exactly. And there's like one really interesting part for this, I think, for overall for like comic book readers as a whole, because Lucian, you know how they do that thing where they like bold certain words that are of importance.
Yeah, they stress certain words. It might be
words
words
you would never say necessarily with like that kind of emphasis.
Yeah, I remember, just a quick aside, I remember reading Dark Knight Strikes Again for the first time in 2001.
Yeah.
And there's a line in there, and I remember trying, because like there were weird emphasis on words, but they weren't like important words, they were just kind of like regular action words. And I remember like trying to read the stresses out loud, and how like no one talks the way the stresses are put on them.
Exactly.
And that's when I realized like, oh, you want me to have like to have a mental emphasis on them, but not necessarily a verbal emphasis.
Right.
Because I remember there's a line I've committed to memory. Unfortunately, it's Batman talking to Superman.
Exactly.
And he says, "You tell me what I want to know, and you do what I tell you to do."
You're like,
And I'm like, no one has ever said anything like that in the history of mankind.
maybe Batman
Also,
does.
like, yeah, thanks. Well, there goes like one sonnet from The Tempest.
Right.
So please, yeah. So what are some words that they emphasize
So
without like making
at
it?
one point, Lucian is talking about just what's filling the library, and this is again like I thought this was so interesting, and like since they're making it DC Vertigo, and like while it is in its own universe, I'm like you could totally use this.
Yeah.
DC, you could totally use this like
This is
device.
out. Yeah.
Because he says even those titles martyred, emphasis by retcon, are here erased but unforgotten. I was like. So, like, things that, like, they've retconned, you could just be like, no, they're all here.
Yeah. Oh,
The-
they're still
the unretconned stories.
they're in the library, and we could refer to them or go to them at any time.
Yep. Lucian is supposed to have all his knowledge, but he's having a hard time with it. And that's when, like, they're like, everyone's like, hey, there's a really big problem in the dreaming. And,
Okay.
like, Lucian shows up, and he looks up at the sky, and there's a huge crack in the dreaming. And they're like, huh. And everyone's like,
That's a problem.
Lucian, like, I know you kind of, like, were left in charge here and stuff like that, but, like, this might be above your pay grade, so we should probably get Dream back here.
Okay.
So they're like, how do we find Dream? How do we know where he is? So they call upon Matthew the Raven, who we've seen, of course, in Sandman before,
Okay.
from Swamp Thing fame. But ravens are known to know things. They just know them. He doesn't know how he's going to find them. Like, they just give him a hard time about it. They're like, you're going to know. You just know how to do it. You're a raven. You're going to figure it out. Go find him. Go
Okay.
find him. And he is the device upon which we touch on the other stories.
He goes through all the
He
stories.
goes through all the stories seeking out dreams. So first of all, he's got to escape the dreaming. So he checks out what's going to be going on a little bit in the dreaming, and we stop in on this dream that this woman's had. He's like, all right, my first like thing, I'm going to find someone who's dreaming, and I'm going to wake up with them. Because like I'll wake them up, and that's how I can get out of the dreaming.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So he finds this old lady, and this chick shows up named Dora, and she's a newly introduced character, I believe. Essentially she's like, you can't wake this woman up. Like, she's having a really great dream, and like it's a truly like inventive dream where like Matthew's like, usually it's people having anxiety and like it's about real world stuff and like whatever, and like this is like some like fantastical thing that's going on where there's like a huge dining hall and she's making food for everybody and there's like song and dance and like
Okay.
it's a really like it's very like vivid imagery that's going on
Yeah.
in this, and like of course the artist can have an amazing time doing all this stuff, and
'Cause
like
it's a dream,
it's
so.
a feast for the eyes. And a feast, of course, for the stomach, because there are pancakes involved.
Oh, even better.
But Dora's like, you can't wake her up because, like, you know, you just can't do it. And she, of course, is angry at Dream because, like, he made her a promise that he didn't keep, but he made it as Morpheus, and like shortly before his transition.
Have we seen this character before?
No, is my understanding.
Oh, okay.
It's been a while, so. But there's a new book called The Dreaming, so
Right.
and she's going to believe going to be play a part in that, and also House of Whispers.
Okay.
Anyway, she tells us about the old woman, about how the old woman is dying, basically, in the real world, and like so
Oh.
this is kind of what she has left.
Gotcha.
And like so like she doesn't allow Matthew to wake her up, and like kicks them both out of the dream, and then he goes off and finds books of magic. The books of magic, and
Okay.
Tim has a dream, and he wakes up from it and has to run off to school, where we get a little introductory where this story is gonna go,
Right.
and like just how like, you know, there's like a new teacher for him, and how like his old teacher was murdered but he can't see it, and like Matthew's like, I want to help but I gotta go, I got stuff to do, so you're gonna have to have your own adventure, bye.
Right.
So he like bails on him, and we kind of get an idea of like, all right, I get a little like taste of where this story might go, and like honestly, like they do a really good job of leaving us on like the murder page, murder. And then he pops off to what House of Whispers is going to be, where he's just checking in there. This one's kind of more or less like he's observing the story between these two women who they have a relationship, and one of the women has like two younger sisters, and like essentially it comes out that like one of them doesn't know that the older sister's gay, and like their dad is, I guess it kind of broke up the family in a sense. Like you're kind of getting like this like piecemeal parts of the story because it's just an intro, and essentially like it's the idea like the girl who's going to be coming into their lives, like it gives them each a charm bracelet, and like the one who's having a real hard time with it like throws in the river, and it like becomes a person, and like he's just like, oh, I'm like entangled with their story, and this woman saves him and takes the bracelet and says like, no, I'm meant to be entangled in their stories.
Okay.
And like how like her stories that she's involved with never end happy, and like so like that's where you're like, oh, where's this going? The House of Whispers. Okay, let's move it on.
Yeah.
So Matthew leaves there, and he like all right, so I know there's like two people I can probably sense in this world. It is it's Dream and Lucifer.
Oh.
And he ends up seeking out Lucifer because he's just like, Lucifer would know where Dream is. And so he goes to find Lucifer, and like everything's messed up for Lucifer because like essentially what happened was at the end of the day, Lucifer decided that while he can't be he's like, I can't be a father, but my blood does walk the earth, and what I'm going to do is not let what my dad did to me by screwing me over, because like that's his ultimate like haha, was like I would repeat what he did to me.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go to a place I'm not meant to be and find his mother.
Oh.
And in order to do that, like I have to cast off all these things and all these symbols, and like it involves ravens and how essentially like the raven is the symbol of Lucifer, and like so he collects all these ravens and like tortures them.
Okay.
And then like rips their beaks off, and like so Matthew runs into like one that's a ghost, and he was left
Oh,
there.
okay.
And like Matthew's like, you're meant to move on, like you're meant to go, and he's just like, I can't. So inevitably, like Matthew does show him the way, but we find out that Lucifer is off on this crazy adventure.
Yeah.
And like it's like, what could he possibly be doing? And he's trapped somewhere.
Okay.
And so like Matthew's like, damn it.
Yeah, this is all very
Like,
interesting, and I'm sure I'd love to know how all these adventures turn out, but I can't. I have to have my own.
I got a job to do, and like every stop along the way has not helped me. So inevitably he like picks up a trail, and he's like, I think I found him, and he goes into an alleyway. And like he thinks that he should be there, but by the time he lands, it's like when you wake up from a dream and you can't quite remember everything correctly. So he's like, for a second, he doesn't even know what he's doing there, and like it's clear that Dream is attempting to get away from him.
Oh.
And so, like, at the end of the day, we do see Daniel Hall in this alleyway, and then Matthew goes back. The crack is bigger than ever. Lucien goes to talks to Matthew. It's very obvious that Lucien's starting to, like, lose his memory. Lucien, of course, used to be a raven, so that's why he knows so much about what Matthew is able to do.
Okay.
And it's just, like, things are worse than you'd imagine, and they come to the wall of, like, artifacts that each of the Endless has, and that's how they communicate with each other. And that's Lucien had originally tried to do that with Dream's mask, and we see Dream's mask and the picture frame collapsed on the floor, and he's like, I think he quit.
Oh.
And like that's how it ends, where it's just like, well, that can't be.
Right.
Like you have to have Dream the Endless.
Yeah,
so,
we've done that before, so we know. Like,
so like it's interesting because it's like here we have another example of like it's a sequel.
yeah.
At least it comes from the heart of the original creator, unlike with like again whatever you feel about Watchmen,
Oh,
where it's
yeah.
just like here's a classic, and now we're gonna do a sequel to it, and
Yeah.
at least the person who was originally involved with it is still someone
yeah.
involved with it.
Didn't
but
write it.
No, but each of these books are not going to be written by him.
No.
So I'm like I'm excited and I'm not at the same time because
Mm-hmm.
like I'm like it's really cool for people who were not into Sandman to now have something that like is you can kind of penetrate this. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like it's something that like even if you don't like know Sandman the universe, like this is an interesting place to start.
Right.
And it'd be kind of like cool to see someone who read this first and then went back and read Sandman.
Oh, yeah.
To like figure out what happened. And not even just like, you know, different like stories and like different ways of telling it, but literally just like how that lore is going to work out for them.
Yeah.
But, you know, like do I think Sandman needed a sequel? No.
No.
Not necessarily, but like at least Neil was involved, and I'm still going to pick a bunch of these up. If like,
Yeah.
I'm going to at least pick up one of each of the new ones.
Sure.
If you're wondering, The Dreaming will come out September 5th. House of Whispers will come out September 12th. Lucifer comes out October 17th. The Books of Magic October 24th.
Okay.
So they are going to spread these out.
Cool.
And like at the very least, I'm going to try to stick with all of them. But like, The Dreaming is the one I'm going to definitely hang on
yeah.
to. Because, I don't know. I'd like to see what they're going to do with this and what... Because gaming obviously is going to be like, this is where I want the story to go. You
Right,
write it.
right.
So I'd like to see what he
I wonder if like editorial
I-
has a decision to make and they want to do something and they kind of told Neil to go in that direction, or if he's like, I'll only do it if I get to tell you where I want the characters
Right,
to go.
exactly. And it'll be interesting to see also with like DC embracing Vertigo in such a way now if we see any of this crossing over at any point in the future more so than we have as of late, which is more than I ever expected.
Yeah.
And also there's like 1,000 variants. If you're a variant hunter, like I got the David Mack one.
Oh, okay, cool.
So there you go.
Nice. So there you have it. I guess you recommend that book?
I do. Yeah, I do. I think it's an interesting way to delve into it. The way it's written is like a little easier, I think, on to get into than sometimes when Neil writes, because he's a little more flowery, a little more obtuse.
Yeah, but he's not hard to get.
No, he's certainly not. But I think this is an interesting introduction into this style of storytelling, and then
Yeah.
like to go into Sandman proper. It's really up to you, because like they're trying to obviously they know that there are people who read Sandman first who are going to read this, and there are people who've never read Sandman.
That's true.
Who are going to get into this.
Yeah.
So
Let's hope anyway.
yeah.
Get Swifty.
Swifty.
I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
I
trying to
think
read it
it's-
phonetically.
No, I think
yeah.
it's Swifty.
Get Swifty. Says, love Comic Pop. Thank you very much.
thank
Jamal Kino, hope you feel better, Tiffany, and I hope you guys do great in your upcoming live show. Thank you very much. By the way, there is a live show happening, and in case you have missed the announcement, come to Zap Comics in Wayne, New Jersey on Wednesday at 7 p.m. We'll see you then. Saul Serrano helping us out in the super chats. Mr. Roboto asking us, I'm late. Sal and Tiffany does the improv.
I guess if you're from the 90s.
Yes, good timely reference to.
No, I just like Exposed Brick. I think it's really cool.
Yeah,
It's
and I
just,
wanted to have
lovely.
we wanted an option to do something different
Yeah,
over there.
I just love Exposed Brick. Let's
Yeah,
be honest.
it's cool.
If I could have it in my house.
The original studio almost was going to have exposed
I
brick.
know. I love that wall.
Yeah, it was such a great
Oh,
wall.
that
It's
wall.
just it would have been a quarter or a tenth of the size.
Exposed Brick. Yeah, that wouldn't have worked.
No. And Rusky9110, was Books of Magic a series before, or is this a new concept?
It was a series before, and it's something you could go back and read more about. It's a very interesting concept in the Vertigo universe. I suggest you give it a look.
Yes, definitely.
Check it out.
Absolutely. I guess we'll talk about Amazing Spider-Man number 3 or 805 or something, whatever.
Yeah, go
issue
for it.
is.
I'd love to hear some about it.
804 actually. This is of course written by Nick Spencer with art by Ryan Otley, continuing the Dream Team, I guess. I mean, it's just the team that's working on the book right now. But man, I am still not sold on Ryan Otley's art.
That's fair. I think that's it's stylized. Anytime that something is super stylized and not the norm, I think it's difficult for people to get into it, regardless of the way it's stylized.
Yeah.
If it's not something you're used to seeing, it obviously,
Right. I mean, and I saw a lot of conversation about it in the chat before we started the show, and they were saying, what is it about Otley's art that is making me so off-putting? Some people said it was the teeth. He definitely draws, individual teeth. I think it's just it's a very angular style.
Yeah,
it has it implies a softness, but everything's sharp.
Well, the coloring implies a softness, and so when you put that up against his intense, angular, heavy line art, because you'll see on the edges of Peter's face, he has a lot of different line variation, but it isn't there are curves, but it's not a curve like a Bagley.
Right.
Yeah.
Jumping into the book itself. Let me just get us back here.
It's us.
Getting back to the book itself. So here's what happens.
Tell us.
We were doing a lot of speculation about why they were doing an homage to the Clone Saga, and they were I think it's Spencer hitting all the beats. He's playing with a lot of different ideas, a lot of different things about legacy and and expectations when it comes to Spider-Man, which is why he was let's do an homage. I'm doing a Spider-Man versus Peter Parker kind of story. Let's do an homage to the Clone Saga by using the straight up Clone Saga image, but done in Ryan Otley style. No clones, no nothing. In fact, it was set up in the beginning of the issue or the beginning of the story. Doc Connors and whatnot are working on this special matter transference splitting machine. It makes duplicates of you. It separates you from yourself, so it makes two different versions of you.
Okay.
That's how Kurt Connors can separate himself from the Lizard and so forth.
Okay. Or
at least he's trying to, but it's not. He hasn't worked all the bugs out of it. When the Taskmaster and Eric O'Grady robot throw Peter into the machine, Peter into the machine, it separates him and Spider-Man, so Spider-Man is now a separate entity, but it's Spider-Man from Peter Parker.
Okay.
So it's the concept of Spider-Man is a person.
What happens when you lift up the mask?
I don't know, we've never seen that. My guess is it's a blank face, so it's
That's
horrifying.
It can't be just a blank face. It has to have some kind of nose to push the thing out.
I know, but I think there's no face under there. But the idea is that Spider-Man is his own person over there.
Okay.
And so we open the story with Spider-Man on a double date with Mary Jane, who is, of course, he's back together with, and they're sleeping together, and they're practically living together. They're not living together yet, because I think they make a point of saying they have to go to their respective places.
Okay.
But they have gone on a double date with Peter's roommate, Robbie Robertson's nephew or son. I don't remember the difference. But Randy Robertson. And they brought along Nora Winters, who used to work for Frontline.
Okay.
And they used to date, and they thought it'd be funny to bring two former dating people
That's
together.
not funny.
It's not at all, but it clearly is setting up a meet cute, maybe they'll get back together. It's kind of cute.
Right.
And then Nora sees on her phone that apparently there's some crazy shit happening in Midtown and Spider-Man needs to go, and Mary Jane's Peter, don't you need to go? And he's actually I don't. And you're like, why? Oh no! And then there's a lot of like fourth wall breaking, funny stuff going on where like the thing that's attacking Midtown is the Tri-Sentinel, which is a holdover from the 90s. In fact, another reference to the Clone Saga because Spider-Man fights the Tri-Sentinel when he gets the cosmic powers, and he also fights the Tri-Sentinel as Ben Reilly during the Clone Saga.
Okay.
So we're like, oh, clones again. We're not doing clones, but moving on.
Right.
But so Spider-Man engages the Tri-Sentinel, and they're making references to like nostalgia and whether like this was an earned fight or whether we're just doing it to like tread the ground we've gone on before. And then the whole book's a flashback about like how we got to where we are.
Okay.
And the idea is that after Spider-Man defeats the Taskmaster and Black Ant, he takes Peter Parker and the two of them have a conversation where they basically establish, okay, you're me, I'm you. And they basically decide, like, before we figure this out, let's just keep this going. Which is something that Peter Parker would never do, but whatever, let's pretend like Peter Parker will actually do things that I want him to do in someday in the future. So, but the two of them, it's basically reads out like, and by the way, more clones. If you've ever read the old What If Volume 1 story, What If the Clones Survived?
Okay.
It works exactly like that. There's a story where, imagine, if you will, a reality where instead of at the end of the original Clone Saga, the clone of Peter Parker had died and thrown into a smokestack and disappeared forever, it actually survived. Now, try to imagine that kind of reality. But in this comic that took place before the 90s Clone Saga, they play with that convention, and basically the idea is he doesn't die, and after some chicanery, they decide to like become alternating Spider-Mans. Okay. Where he's like, you know, it's a punchline. It ends with like, you know, so I'll get the bed, you get the couch. I'll get Mary Jane, you get Doc Ock. I'll be Spider-Man Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and you'll take every other Saturday or something like that.
Right.
And they're like, okay. And that's kind of what happens here.
So wait, so Peter still has spider abilities?
No, as it turns out, he does not have spider abilities. All his Spider-Man went to the Spider-Man avatar.
So he's just a dude.
So he's just a dude now.
Okay.
And Spider-Man, or the guy in the costume who is Spider-Man, he is kind of like, he's all Spider-Man. So he's funny and he's quippy and he's.
Does that mean that Peter Parker's not quippy?
He's still quippy, but like.
But less so.
Less so. This Spider-Man's more quick to action.
Okay.
He's more like, okay, adventure, haha. Like, he has no regard for being Peter Parker. He's not like, well, what about Mary Jane?
Yeah, he's not, like, weighed down by, like, the responsibilities of being a regular person. And not even with Mary Jane, but just, like, I have to go to
what about
the
Aunt
store,
May? Or what about my rent? Yeah, and it's all about, like, all the power, none of the responsibility. So,
well, that's interesting. I wonder, does this continue?
It does.
Okay.
The idea is Peter goes to Doc Connors to try and get to the bottom of it, and Doc Connors explains, like, you know, all the ideas behind the machine that created him. He doesn't know, of course, that Spider-Man and Peter Parker are split. So he's just kind of talking about it in a theoretical sense, talking about like this applying to a lab rat they tried.
Sure.
But what they found out was when Doc Connors asks Peter to hand him a scientific device, Peter Parker doesn't know what the hell it is. And he knows that he should know what it is, but he doesn't remember it. So all the science parts of him are gone too.
Why?
Those are in Spider-Man. Because Spider-Man uses that part of his brain to be Spider-Man, I guess. We don't really get into it, but we know that that Spider-Man uses the science part of Peter Parker's brain to deactivate the Tri-Sentinel while Pete's getting to the bottom.
Maybe he can't use it when Spider-Man's using it. Like, it's a shared knowledge base.
I think that could be what it is. So, and maybe like while Spider-Man's in action, Peter Parker doesn't have powers, and while Spider-Man's using his brain, Peter Parker can't be smart.
Well, hopefully then, like, nothing will attack when Peter has to take his finals.
Right. Well, that's the idea. I think we're going to wrap this up probably the next day, like issue or two. But ultimately, what we find out is that, like, they don't understand the scope of this problem, and what if everything, you know, whatever. The idea is that, like, what if Spider-Man had no responsibility?
Right, and potentially could turn into like there can't be a Spider-Man without a Peter Parker.
Right, or the Spider-Man that would have been the Spider-Man without Peter Parker. We would probably get a revisiting of the Spider-Man who was like, man, I did a great job. Maybe I should try this in professional wrestling or do this on TV. And it's like, it regresses all the way back. So probably Peter Parker's going to have to teach Spider-Man the lesson.
Right, as long as like Aunt May doesn't get shot by a burglar.
Right, which, well, we've already done that before. So, but we have seen the story before, and it's very like, you know, okay, Like, have we seen Spider-Man literally separated from Peter Parker as like an entity unto himself? No. Have we seen the idea of the duality of Spider-Man and Peter Parker like a million times? But like, that's a theme and a trope, so why
Sure.
not explore it in a new way?
Yeah.
I'm willing to give this the benefit of the doubt, but it's a lot of...
Well, it could also be a way for Spencer to, if he's trying to make the point, now we don't know necessarily at all, like if he's trying to bring the two back together,
Yeah.
just the idea of being like, no, see, Spider-Man without Peter Parker is a reckless individual. It's more force of nature than
Yeah.
anything else. You know, like he needs that part of him and that responsibility to others.
And it could be that like what'll happen is Peter's trying to convince Spider-Man to join with him.
Yeah.
Spider-Man's like, no, I'm having too much fun. Somebody gets hurt that he cares about in the process, and he realizes he needs him.
Yeah.
It's going to be like that Calvin and Hobbes, the duplicate evil and good duplicate story, where, you know. Anyway, go look at Calvin and Hobbes. It's a great strip. It's transcendental. So, but I think it's fun, and the art was pretty cool. Again, like all of his action is great. Ryan Ottley's pencils are very kinetic.
Well,
but-
it helps too that in those, when he is doing the action sequences, he's drawing Spider-Man and not Peter Parker. So I think
Yes.
it's easier to enjoy this for those who don't like the way he does his faces
Uh-huh.
necessarily.
But there is quite a bit of Peter Parker, which there
Yeah.
should be, by the way. There should be an equal proportion of
Yeah.
Spider-Man and Peter Parker story.
Right. I don't necessarily mind the art, but like I'm also like not as connected to the character the way that you are necessarily.
It feels wrong.
It's-
It really does. Like it's a lot of work for me to like not see it be weird.
I understand because like
And by the way, I don't know what my problem is. Like, because I like Invincible. I think it looks like fun, and it's...
Right.
But like, there's something about it being Spider-Man. I'm like, this looks like not anybody.
Right.
And they could have gotten anybody else. I mean, like, I didn't like Kevin Coley's art at all, but at least it felt... I don't know. It was
Okay.
It was just bad as opposed to wrong.
Right.
This feels wrong. I
Okay.
don't know why. And by the way, I don't think it's really that bad. It's just... Like, I don't think it's an affront to the character.
Yeah.
I think, like, they probably worked really hard to get Otley on this book.
right.
Again, though, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. It's something about it. Something
Yeah.
about it. And it could be because of, like, the rapidity through which we're getting to what people want. Like, Mary Jane and Spider-Man got together in the first issue. Whoa. Like, we've been building towards this. What are we going to do now? Like,
Yeah.
how did we... You could stretch this to a year of them getting back together, and people
Right.
would have been really happy to see that. But why... Like, everything feels weird.
Right. Okay. That's
Like,
fair.
Yeah, so I don't know. And it could be because, like, it's been 10 years since Slott was off the book, so maybe, like, the fact that it's so not Dan
Slott,
Slott
yeah.
Spider-Man that it feels weird.
Yeah, you don't know how to
I don't know how to process it.
you've got I'll come up with it at some point.
Okay.
When I'm not feeling well, my brain's just like, no.
Yeah, but I will say, the one
No.
thing that was really kind of nice, though I thought it wasn't as good as it should have been, was the 2-page dedication to Steve Ditko's passing.
Yes.
First of all, completely it belongs in an Amazing Spider-Man book. It should also be in
Yes.
Doctor Strange. It should
Yes.
probably be in all the Marvel books.
I think it's in Fantastic Four.
I think it is too. But it should be in all the Marvel books because like the same thing happened with Len Wein.
Yeah.
But
Ween?
Wine. I don't recall. But I don't know. It felt like a really fast Photoshop job, and it had like 3 quotes, and they were from like people like the editor-in-chief, Joe Quesada, and Nick Lowe, one of the other associate editors. Like, that's it.
That's probably the way that they would do it though, because it's not a comic book creators like tribute. It's Marvel's, and so typically you have like the
people
heads of
who
the
run
company
Marvel, yeah.
do something like that. So like that's probably what it is. That doesn't mean that others won't do something more than this, but like Marvel had to do something.
Yeah.
And I think they probably wanted to do something that was like tasteless in a way.
Yeah, I don't know. Felt really weird. Like,
Yeah.
it looked good, but it also felt like kind of slapdash.
I understand.
I know they need to get it done in a quick amount of time, but like,
Yeah, I mean, I
know.
did like the Spider-Man stuff and like saying that it was work that mattered. It wasn't just like the creation of these like characters.
yeah, it wasn't
but,
just like a picture of him in a quote.
Yeah, certainly. Like I liked, of course, I liked that first image of Strange. Like,
yeah.
I mean, like he did bring us that, and like for that, I'm like endlessly thankful.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I will say, you know, it's funny in terms of art and design. This is just because I saw it recently. Like, I really like the info page for Spider-Man.
it's really nice.
It's really well put together.
It's really nicely
Most of the
designed.
time, it's usually an afterthought.
It is, or it's like it's too busy and like you kind of can't read the words over it. But this is just really well thought out, and I hope that they continue it.
It would be nice,
Yeah.
to have like actual graphic designers.
Even
making these
having
things.
like the little Spider-Man symbol at the bottom underneath
Yeah.
there to take up the space that they obviously had to utilize. Smart.
Just smart work.
design.
So whoever they got, whatever intern they had working on that,
Right.
Nice job. So yeah, let's jump into the super chats while we get ready for the next book.
Sure thing.
Here we go. Mr. Roboto, Angry Pete reminds me of Spider Girl. Yeah, a little bit. It's got a kind of like angular female face. Joshua Wright, what do you think of Marvel putting the same character on the cover of every book for special events, like the Fantastic Four now or Venom's 30th? They've done that before, yeah, like Deadpool, Gwen Stacy,
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
I think for me it works for certain characters like those two because it's like they're fourth wall breaking.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense for them to do that. I don't know how I feel about it overall.
No, I
Like,
don't like it.
It's kind of weird. Like,
It feels almost deceptive. Like maybe they'll buy it if Venom's on the cover.
yeah,
I know it's not because it's a standard practice where like everything has it.
Yeah.
But like, remember when they did those Jim Lee variants from the trading cards, and every book had a Jim Lee variant.
Yeah.
But they didn't even think about which Jim Lee variant to put on the book.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, like if it's a character, if it's an X-Men villain or character that's been on a lot of Spider-Man books, put that character on the Spider-Man comic.
Right.
They didn't even think about that at
No.
all, and
Right,
that would have been really cool. But they didn't do it. Uh-oh.
I'm too warm. I've gotten too
I know,
warm.
we're sacrificing comfort for the art because, the air conditioner messes with the audio.
Too warm.
But yeah, it's like, it's really weird and I don't like it.
Okay. I mean, I understand,
Overall.
like, it's interesting because, like, the Fantastic Four now, it's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Venom's 30th, I understand that. Like, maybe they should have just done it for books that he was truly a part of.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's an interesting idea, and, like, of course, I love seeing fun, cool covers, but, like, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, that's my answer for that question.
There you go.
Silvery Cricket, it really feels like a story out of the 60s. Webman, I think that's why it felt kind of off to me. Yeah, I guess it does feel like a 60s story. It feels like an older story, but it's also referencing itself. I don't know. It doesn't feel it doesn't feel anything like Nick Spencer's Captain America to me.
No.
Like Nick Spencer's Captain America felt like a modern comic. This feels weird. I don't know what it is.
Right.
But yeah, and Theron Smith, my greatest fear is Sal breaking into my home, throwing me to the ground, and violently teaching me comic book history.
Sounds like an awesome time.
You have nothing to fear. I'm never going to do that. But if I do, at least, we'll get a slice of pizza afterwards.
The only reason that anyone would break into anybody's house, it would probably involve Ben and daring him to do so.
Yes. I bet you can't kick in that door.
Oh, bet I can.
B&E.
Yeah.
So what's the next title we're doing?
I think it's the next title and like probably the last title because I looked over Superman. I didn't finish fully reading.
I'm not reading it.
But
I put my money where my mouth is. I said I didn't like Man of Steel and I don't like
Yeah.
Bendis on Superman.
No, I checked
I'm gonna
it
need to be
out.
convinced.
Yeah, I checked it out a little bit. Like,
So I don't read it.
yeah, it's Rogolzar.
Oh my god.
It's Rogolzar.
No more.
I saw the beginning. There was like one really cool image at the beginning where there was like this Tamaranian armor
Ooh.
or army. My God, my brain. Army that was going to be facing off against the Thanagarians.
Oh.
And the Thanagarians brought Rogolzar to the battlefield, and like the Tamaran like leader or like general or whatever was just like, we're gonna show them who's boss. Yeah, for Tamaran. And then they're like, Rogolzar retreat. And I was like, but like the visual of like all of these like
These really cool warriors.
right, but they're like wearing the Starfire purple. Like I'm like, it's just they look like
It's
they're
really
from
cool.
Tamaran. I was like, that's fun. Damn it.
Damn it, Rogolzar.
This is
Remember, Rogolzar must appear on every page, and if he doesn't, people on that page must be asking themselves, where is Rogolzar?
Yeah, and there's some interesting stuff with like Superman in our monologue and about how like I think Green Lantern asked him like one time like what's it like living in like actual hell? And
Right.
She's like, what do you mean? He's just like, because you can't turn it off. Like
Right.
you hear people screams all the time, and he's just like, first of all, I can.
Yeah,
I just
tune it out.
He's like, I just don't, and I never will. Mm-hmm. And he's like, but for him, like he also like for him, it's like that he hears people trying and he hears the hope in people's
Right.
voice. And I was like, that's a cool Superman moment.
Yeah.
If we could just get rid of this stupid character.
Right. That is the
But,
like I
yeah.
think Bendis is like if we get him working,
Yeah.
You know, that Rogozar is Bendis' Jar Jar Binks.
Just whatever. But anyway, let's talk about the book that we actually all came to talk about.
Yeah, let's call the Four.
Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four.
Don't need no more.
That's
Yeah.
ungrammatical. I really like. God damn it! I don't know why. I really like Ribbick's style. I really don't like how fleshy the inside of Thing's mouth is on this cover.
It's kind of like the Toxic Avenger. Like he has a Toxic
He
Avenger
looks like the
face.
Toxic Avenger.
He's got a Toxic Avenger face, which is only on my mind because, for those who don't know, Troma filmed Toxic Avenger in like a nearby town for us.
Yes.
And there's a coffee shop.
We can say my hometown.
Yeah, but like there's a coffee shop in that town now, and they have like a huge Toxic Avenger poster.
Yes.
And I love their coffee, so I went there today to get a latte, and I was just looking at him. I was like, there he is.
Yeah.
There's
There's Toxie.
They actually have a drink there named after him. I don't know what's in it.
As well, they should.
I don't know what's in it. I don't know why you would name a drink that. I would never have that. But
Yeah.
anyway, so that's why that's like fresh in my mind. It's
Yeah.
just like, that looks like Toxic Avenger face.
It does.
A little bit.
So Fantastic Four, they're back.
Kind of.
Not. This is, of course, written by Dan Slott with art by Sarah Pacelli. Kind of.
Well, it's like, it says it's by Dan Slott and Sarah Pacelli.
Yeah, she must have helped write the story.
I guess. But like, I don't know. They're doing something interesting here where like the inkers are Sarah Pacelli and Elizabetta. So like, the by might just be they just didn't bother to write writer and artist.
Yeah.
Because like there's no artist credit.
Usually, if there's no artist credit, it means that the artist worked with the writer on the story.
Okay, so there you go. So maybe she had some thoughts. She's such a delightful lady. I know we've talked about her a million
So
times.
great.
She's so friendly, so nice.
Yeah,
such
if
a
you ever want to get
accent.
if you ever want to get an indication as to what
Sexy
that's
lady.
like, I know it's like self-aggrandizing, but go to our channel and check out Special Edition NYC Comic Pop.
Yeah.
We interview Sarah Pacelli, and
We just talked
Ben
to- yeah.
Ben came up with a great little like system where he like asked a bunch of Ben questions at
Yeah.
he threw all of his personality at the comic book industry.
Yeah.
And some of them reacted in kind, and it was really nice. But
Yeah.
she is just amazing.
She really is.
And I got
So-
to bust a little Italian on her. Like I talked a little bit of Italian to
Yeah.
her, and she was like, "Oh!" And then she said in Italian, "Like, do you speak Italian?" And I was like, "No, I don't."
You're like, no.
I'm like, "No." And my girlfriend is
Yeah, no,
standing right
she's-
next to me. I should probably stop.
Well, no, it's okay. She's beautiful. She's
Yeah.
so beautiful.
But yeah, she's
I was
great.
like sitting there, I'm like,
she's cool, and she can draw.
she's super talented, super lovely.
Yeah.
She's got everything.
Yeah. And if you ever
Damn
meet
her.
Dan Slott at a convention, he's nice too. So, Fantastic Four. The idea is like, oh, you can jump in. You did the last one, so yeah.
Oh, whatever.
All right, well, yeah.
it just literally, it just starts off with like this book it's interesting because we did 2 books this week that were about seeking out a key part of what the book should be.
Yes.
Like Sandman Universe, we gotta find Dream, and we're gonna do a couple like fun ways that we're seeking to do that.
Yep.
And Fantastic Four, where's
the
Reed,
rest of them?
Sue, and Franklin, and Valeria?
Yep.
Where are they? And this opens up with just the like what are the Fantastic Four, and each
Right.
individual's like version of that, and like done in like I guess in the past. Basically, like
Yeah.
what they meant to everybody in terms of this like fun photo of them all together, and
Yes.
just what it means to be them. And then we cut to the Thing and Alicia
Masters.
yes, in this like marketplace, which is like I've
I've seen this exact market.
I have seen this exact market, but not with what they find there, which is like a literal box of kittens.
yeah,
I'm
I've
just
never
like,
seen a box of kittens in my
First
life.
of all, if I did that, if I found that, I would be in the box.
Yes.
With like all of them, because there's clearly like 24 kittens there, and I would just be like,
I know. This market is right off of Port Authority.
yes, but there are not usually kittens there. And it's just really, it's a story of like the Thing and Johnny kind of going about their day, and like how the Thing's like story is him like being with Alicia and like going shopping, and she's like, she talks about like like how cute they are and wouldn't that be great, and he's just like, you don't want these running underfoot because she's blind.
Yeah.
And he's like, and she's like, yeah, but I thought I'd
Get some pets one day.
yeah, and he was like, and like I love that image of the Thing with like 4 kittens on him.
Yep.
Like,
And he's like, well, I guess 5 or 6 cats can't hurt.
yeah.
Yeah, the idea here being, of course, like that, like the Thing is realizing what he needs, and Johnny is realizing what he's lost.
Yeah.
Johnny, of course, at the Mets game with Wyatt Wingfoot, having a nice time.
Yep.
They're both of their like R&R. This, I guess, takes place after the Marvel 2-in-1 series by Zdarsky, which was, by the way, a way better Fantastic Four book than this comic.
Yeah, this book, we'll get into it.
Chip Zdarsky destroys that series, and it's like it is a crime that he was not given this title afterwards.
Yeah.
But I feel like this was like, don't go to DC, here's Fantastic Four.
Right.
But anyway, so they're interrupted by a signal flare that says Fantastic Four. Normally it's a 4, but let's have it say Fantastic Four in the sky.
Yeah, I mean, they're like, it's the original one, so I don't know where you got that.
Yeah, it's an old one. Well, they explain where the old
Yeah,
flare came
but
from.
like, I don't know where it's either a deep dive or it's an incorrect dive. I'm not certain.
Right.
But regardless, like, Johnny's like, I gotta go, and like everyone's like, woo, and he like takes off and flames on, and he flies off to find out where it is. And like Alicia's very aware of like that something is going on.
Yeah.
And like Ben is not doing anything. He puts all the kittens back, and he like, you know, goes to a bench with her with all of his stuff, and like just has like this like heart to heart with her, being just like, they're not coming back.
Right. Like everyone's really excited right now because there's a thing, but like I know that they're dead.
Yeah, and it's not even just like that. Like, you know, they put a lot of emphasis in this book on hope. And it's not like he like has necessarily lost hope. It's more or less coming to the realization that like he has to move on and live his life.
Right.
And,
which
like,
is a good lesson to learn, by the way.
And he, in fact, like has someone in his life where like if he wasn't like letting go and moving on, it would like impact that person.
Yeah, like maybe I can
bit.
actually have a life without the Fantastic Four.
Right? Or like waiting constantly for them and like instead just moving on. And so like she's like, I'll always have hope because like, you know, whatever, like they can come back. And he's just like, okay. And so Johnny arrives on the scene of where the flare was like ignited, and like, cause when he gets there, he like on his way, he's like, oh, I wonder who we're gonna be fighting. Is it this or that or whatever?
Yeah, like
he's like in like denial, like you wouldn't believe.
Well, he's also like referring to like what the audience is doing too. Like, oh, the Fantastic Four are back. I know this because I'm buying a book called Fantastic Four. Right. I wonder who the villain's gonna be in this one.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
But yeah, he's in severe denial.
He's in incredible denial. When he shows up, there's a couple of kids there, and they like the Yancey Street gang, and like they stole the flare and shot it off, and like he's furious with them, like as though like, you know, he wants them to be punished to the utmost of the law.
Yes.
And like so they're brought to the police station, and
they are defended
by Jennifer Walters.
It's like, which by the way, like, great use of Jen Walters. First of all, former member of the Fantastic Four. So I hope, and also former main character that Dan Slott kind of like made his bones writing.
Right.
He wrote a great She-Hulk series that was woefully canceled. And hopefully this is a good sign of She-Hulk getting back on track.
Right.
But in any case, she's not She-Hulk, by the way. She's Jennifer Walters' lawyer.
She's just there, and like she's just like, look, they're children, they're idiots. Nothing's gonna happen.
Yeah, well, they did break into a building and they did steal property, so they will be punished.
Except Johnny doesn't even realize that.
Yeah.
And like she's like, and the charges have been dropped against them for like breaking in. He's like, by who?
Right.
When it's like,
who do you think?
Yeah, exactly. Like Ben hired her to come down here because like I think he's like in a way had enough of Johnny, but he knows he can't like stop Johnny from being this way.
Well, he went on this huge like dimension hopping adventure with him, where Johnny every step of the way was like, we're gonna find them in this adventure, and Ben knowing in his heart of hearts that they're not coming back.
Exactly. And so then we see Ben go to this
place. I don't understand where it came from, but like it's basically just like a safe house where they keep some of their stuff.
Street.
Yeah. Might be Ben's old apartment.
It could be. But like on the wall there's just a bunch of like mementos.
Yes.
Basically. Nothing of great importance, like other than sentimentality.
Yeah, they're either depowered or they never had power to begin with.
Exactly. And he's there with the caretaker Shecky, and he pulls out this box. And he's just like, there's just one thing here, and like we get a little flashback to this adventure.
Yep.
Where like the Fantastic Four and Alicia Masters, where like they were done with their adventure and they were trying to find their way home, and they had met this character named like Andromica. Yeah,
Astronomica.
I made up my own name, Astronomica, and how she's just like, yeah, I've got this like cool orb in the top of my staff here, and like in order to get home, like one of you has to power it up. And Sue's like, which one of us do you need? And she's like, not like that. Who's the best singer?
Right.
which is funny because Johnny, of course, it's sung earlier on, and of course in the cartoon show.
Yes, of course. If you're unfamiliar, Johnny Storm is an incredible singer on the animated series.
No, he's not. But
Only if he's voiced by Brian Austin Green.
yeah, and Reed's just like, no, it makes sense because like we all like resonate to our dimensions and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
And it's just-
the singer has to sing to the vibrations of their own universe.
yeah, and there's this kind of cute character moment where like we see each of the people who are on the ship part of the Fantastic Four answer who they think is the best singer, and Sue's like me, and everyone else is like Johnny, including Johnny, who's like me, and she's like
yeah, and she like learns a big lesson about herself and about like people around her.
about how nobody likes her singing.
Yeah, and she thinks she's really good at it,
Yep.
which is actually a cute character moment.
It is a cute character moment. I kind of enjoyed that because it's just so like it just brings you back to that whole family dynamic. So, you know, Johnny ends up singing Dankeschön.
Yep.
And he sings it all the way home.
Because Slot's a big Ferris Bueller fan.
Right. And it's probably also there's only certain songs they can use.
They could use whatever they want, I'm sure.
I think they
just
pay
written.
for certain things. But anyway, so he sings Dankeschön. They end up home. And at the end of the day, they end up sending Astronomica back. And, like, she gives, like Galadriel, she gives Ben a piece of her staff as a gift. And it's just, like,
Yes.
it's one of the things where it's just, like, this will always find, like, your way home kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are they going to use this inevitably? Or is
Right.
this just, like...
Just a framing device.
Yeah, like, is it just something fun to have? Or is this what is going to help bring forth the Fantastic Four?
Mm-hmm.
But regardless, like, Ben's like, I got something to do, and I'm going to go on my biggest adventure ever. And it's
Yes.
really cute, because I'm like, oh, he's going to go find them. No, we go to Alicia Masters' home, where, like, there's, like, 12 different kittens. Like, she ended up getting...
She got the kittens.
She got 3 kittens. And she's just... Oh, no, she got 2. She's going to name one Rocky and one Adrian.
Yes. Cute. Okay.
And so when she opens the door, because she, like, Ben shows up, like, he's, like, down here.
Yeah,
this
because she
way.
can't...
Yeah, and he's like, of course, on one knee, and like he has a little ring and the biggest bouquet of flowers possible, and he just says, "Alicia Masters, will you?" And he doesn't even finish
Yes.
the question, and she's like, "Yeah," like obviously.
Yeah.
So then they go
But he uses the
little
gem
thing
thingy.
because like she is his like way home,
Yeah.
because like in a way she is his home, and
Well,
it's so
she's the only home he has left
it's
besides
so,
Johnny. so,
it's
yeah.
just so sweet. It's
Yeah.
just it's such a nice moment for the two of them. And then they go to a rooftop like dining place where like they want to tell Johnny that
the
like
great
they're gonna
news,
get
and he
married.
wants to ask him a very important question.
Exactly. So like there's a little bit of excitement, and he's just like, you know, like we were friends at first, but now we're family, and I can't think of anyone else that I'd like to have be my best man.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where the book loses me. This is the moment that I'm just like, Slot, you don't have to write this character like this.
Yeah.
You don't have to make him this much of a petulant child, where he's just
It's like, no, but Johnny's the child of the team.
he screams no, makes it like this awkward scene where it's all about like how he's just like, if anyone's gonna be your best man, it'd be Reed Richards. You two literally just went on crazy adventures
and
like,
didn't find him.
no, and like they've always been like really super great friends. It's just like I don't understand how this is so off like base for him
me-
to ask.
For me, it was kind of appropriate because like Reed Richards is Ben Grimm's best friend,
Yes.
and if Johnny doesn't accept that they are not dead, then I would accept that.
Right.
I also feel like, sorry, something blew into my mouth, and but like the this is a very awkward scene, and
Yes.
it's awkward in its execution and awkward in its content because Johnny and Alicia used to bang.
Okay.
So, like, there is some awkwardness, and
Oh,
there is a little
sure.
bit of rejection of this as well, even though he should be happy for him, and he probably is, I'm sure of it.
Well,
but,
it's
like,
not-
there is a lot, there's tension in this sequence.
Yes.
And you also need to hit a bunch of notes.
Sure.
One of them being that, like, Johnny and Ben really don't get along on a regular basis. Like, there's always a fight between the two of them.
Right.
So, like, we need to manufacture one. It is very awkward, and it's very
Well, really,
it's clunky. is
It's
what it is.
clunky because of the way in which he does it. If you're gonna have him say no, that's not the way to do it. He doesn't scream in the middle of a public place when being told about like an incredible change and moment in these two people's lives.
Yeah.
Like, but he screams no, and it's just wholly inappropriate and like. It really betrays a lack of respect that Johnny has for these two
and
individuals.
For me, it works because he is like, his no is not at Ben. His no is at the reality of the situation.
Right.
That Ben's moving on.
Right.
He's like, and Johnny's not ready to. Ben is like, this
There's-
represent for
But
Johnny.
there's no way he doesn't know that. And
Yeah, I
like-
know,
And
but, like-
I think it's just again he could have just left,
but
and
he's
that would have
he's
been
saying
enough.
no to the situation.
I
He's saying no to
understand.
reality.
I didn't feel it was I felt it was amped up a little quickly. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Like, it was just like, oh man, you're getting married and that's kind of cool.
It could have been a really beautiful sequence if he just flew away.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like, there were so many other ways this could have been handled where you still would have gotten your point across, but you would have lost this, like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I don't know.
By the way, he was with her, and then they swapped, and it was Elijah, and that's where Elijah's egg came from.
Right.
Elijah the Skrull.
Right, but still, I mean,
there was some history there.
Right, but I mean, he still thought he was banging her.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
Regardless
It doesn't
of
help.
her not,
No, but yeah, it would have been better if instead of this full page where he says no, it was just he flies away, and Alicia's like, maybe it's because of our history, and he's like, it ain't that. And then you get to the next scene where Johnny flies away, and then he screams at the heavens, and he just says, like, you need to show me
that
you're alive.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, like, I don't know if the next sequence. Oh, but there is no sign, and Johnny goes back and
right.
says,
It's just so like rapid.
Yes.
For him, like. And I get it. People go through the stages of grief completely differently. So, like, maybe that's kind of what he's saying is that, like, because Johnny is such a hothead, things kind of bubble to a surface so quickly. But he's known that Ben has kind of been...
If only there hadn't been an entire series of them doing this.
Like... And, like, maybe Slot's not paying attention to that necessarily. I don't know. But, like, these few pages, I was like, whoa, we are getting through this really quickly.
Yes.
And then it doesn't even matter.
Right.
Which is, like, what is kind of frustrating as well. Mm-hmm. Is like this emotional breakthrough doesn't mean anything because at the end of the day they do like
he is right.
Yeah, and like I will say what I enjoy about this panel though is that we get to see that big ridiculous like Mr. Fantastic machinery where it's just like sure
positively John Burney in its what does this do? Why is it doing?
Yeah,
that?
why are there tubes?
Yeah,
but that like essentially like Reed and Sue are trying to create a signal so that they know that they're there.
Yeah.
And, like, it's a big 4.
Right.
In the sky.
And then we get to see some reactions. By the way...
The only one that doesn't work for me, I'm like, when is this taking place?
Right.
In terms of what's going on with the Inhumans.
Yeah. Like, Medusa's like, oh, good. Maybe they can save us from our annihilation from the Kree. By the way, like, no Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's
I get that Dan Slott's trying to be like, meh, the Spider-Man fandom told me to get fucked. But, like... Spider-Man is the Fantastic Four.
He's a huge part of it, and he should have been a part of it.
Should have been there. And the fact that Dan Slott, like, pretends to love him so much, like,
it's very bizarre. The one thing I do like is, of course, Luke Cage.
Yeah. We got, like, and by the way, Jen was there, too.
Yeah.
So we got, like, former members of the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, well, they had done the interviews with them, and these are the people that they did the interviews with earlier, so,
That's true.
Sure.
And Spider-Man wasn't in that interview either, right?
No, he was not.
It's pretty obvious.
It was Medusa, Crystal, Luke Cage, Jen Walters, somebody else.
Yeah, but we got this beautiful sequence of a big 4.
Yeah,
a signal that says like, "Come get us."
Yeah,
and then there's a backup about Doctor Doom,
which I kind of enjoyed. Like,
it was cool, but I was like, I forgot we wrecked his face again.
Yeah,
God damn it!
It's real wrecked. But, like, the idea of, like, that's on his face anyway, and who cares? And, like, the idea of, like, not even him necessarily becoming a villain, but, like, becoming a savior of his people. Like, just that whole, like, we need Doom.
And that's...
You have to have Doom.
So in keeping with the character, it worked out great.
Yeah.
It's a fun little backup.
It is. It's funny because, like, for me, like, again, like, the Johnny stuff, like, maybe over time, like, with the progression of this book, that'll grow on me. Mm-hmm. But, like, having heard so much about 2 and 1, like, I was just like, all right, this is weird. The stuff with Ben Grimm I thought was really well done.
Yeah.
It was like he really understood the character. Just these quiet, beautiful moments between two people talking about, like, honoring those who have come and, like, what best to do. And, like, I just thought that was really nice and really well handled. And then to see him write Doom like that and, like, understand the plight of Latveria, the necessity for being under the reign of Doom.
Right.
But, like, also, like, being like, yeah, but you know he's not a good guy.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. They also threw away the whole Iron Man angle.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
All right.
Just like, it was kind of a mixed bag for me
with
this. But, like, again, I loved the Ben Grimm stuff. Not just because there was cats.
No, but it was great.
But that helped.
Yeah. And then there's a 1-page backup that's invoking the Mixia-Spitlick sequence from American Alien.
Yes.
Where it's Impossible Man breaking the fourth wall and saying, like, I can't believe that they didn't come back at the end of it. Maybe they'll come back in the next one. That sucks, but fine, whatever.
Yeah.
And this will be, I think, Dan Slott's, like, either it is a 1-page, like, I got to work with Scotty Young and do this fun thing.
Right.
Or it will be his way of working out his problem with his fan base.
Could be. Absolutely.
Because Impossible Man says all the things that,
yeah,
the fans are going to say to him.
Yeah.
So yeah. What'd you think of this issue overall?
Like I said, it was kind of a mixed bag. I definitely am interested to see more, if nothing else, to see him writing Ben Grimm, because that is really my where
Your
I
gateway
enjoyed
character,
it. I
entryway.
really enjoyed his take on it, and I'm kind of interested to see how things will progress now, knowing that the Fantastic Four are back, and then his responsibilities will be back to them, and how is that going to work out in terms of the development of at the beginning of this book.
Yeah.
And also just interested to see if he is going to make Doom quickly a villain, or see if it just ends up going that way.
I think it'll absolutely be a villain.
So we'll see. I am interested, but
Yeah. Also, I was surprised by Sarah Pacelli's pencils. Normally, I love them, and in this one, they felt pretty loose.
well, yeah, I definitely agree with that.
And I know exactly what it is.
What is it?
If you compare this book with, say, Spider-Man 2,
Yeah.
which was a terrible series but a great-looking book.
Yes.
There were two reasons why that book there were two reasons why that book looked great and this book did not.
Okay.
Sarah Pacelli did her own inks in that book.
Yeah,
and Justin Ponzer did the colors.
I was literally about to say that someone else did inks with her, which meant that she probably didn't have enough time to finish her inks.
Yes.
And you definitely notice that there's a shift in inks partway through the book, and so she may have been rushing through them originally.
Yep.
And so someone else had to take over. But her work, I think, is often best when
done by herself.
when she's able to control that.
Yes. It was not her strongest work.
No.
And that's too bad because she's great.
She is great. She really is.
Yeah, Elisabetta D'Amico did not do her any favors.
Right. It could also just be she didn't have enough time either.
I think that's what
it
probably
depends
was.
on.
But that's but then get the damn book done.
I know.
What are you doing?
I know.
This book doesn't have to come out at any time. It can come out whenever.
Yeah.
You don't have to fast track it.
Yeah.
And Marta Gracia color, whatever.
Right.
I think they were trying to do a Ribic thing where they were oh, it's kind of like watercolors, but not really. But
I get.
it didn't.
I don't
it's
see that
not.
at all.
Just get Ponzer. I think he's sick.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Then get the other guy. There's another guy who I
Get
like.
the other guy.
I can't remember him.
Get that guy.
But you know where he is. He's in the special edition NYC video we did.
Oh, that's right.
It's the other colorist that I like.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. What's his name?
He's got red hair and a
Yep,
beard.
it's exactly who it is.
He's super cool.
He's
Anyway,
super cool.
let's jump into the super chats. There we go. Silvery Cricket. In this issue of Superman, Batman pooped his pants, and Bendis doesn't know who the current Flash is. I'm not joking about any of this.
I kind of scrolled to
saw
the
them
bottom
too.
of that. Yeah, I was like, what?
Now, as I understand it, the colorist screwed up, but Bendis probably wrote Wally instead of Barry because he doesn't pay attention.
Yeah.
Because the colorist gave the idea Superman saves Barry, and they drew Wally West instead.
Right. I feel like DC needs to put a team of editors
on Bendis books. Yep. Yeah.
Be like, you can't just have one.
As I understand it, I read an interview with Bendis, and he said that basically that he likened it to that they will clear the road for him.
Oh, Lord.
That whatever he wants to do, everyone will clear a path to let him do what he wants to do. And they better for the price tag he came forth. Mr. Roboto, what do you suppose Reed and Sue were doing anyway? Well, they were rebuilding the universe, and that was a fine reason to be gone, but it looks like they were, stuck somewhere, and their clothes were torn, so I guess not.
This is what's kind of confusing to me, because it just seemed like the reason they weren't there was because they had a greater responsibility to the universe.
Yes.
And now I'm just like...
Now we're going to have a half-assed chase across the galaxy, like we just did.
Yeah, I guess so.
Fine. And Bryant Baller, I just read Volume 1 of Marvel 2-in-1 and loved it. Yeah, you did, because it's great. Jam Call X, this reminded me of the rock slide joke from FF2. Woof. Mr. Roboto, Reed Richards, smartest man, why is Alicia blind? Right? Exactly. I think because she's I don't deserve to have, super science used on me, just so I can, why don't you make this available for everybody?
Right.
Then. You don't pull that thread, or you pull apart the entire Marvel universe. And Edu McLean, what do you like better, Marvel or DC? I consider Marvel and DC to be a yin and yang.
Yeah.
I think that you can't have one without the other. When I was growing up, I was a hardcore Marvel kid.
Yeah.
But as I got older and started to view the comic book industry as a thing, like an entity, I realized that you can't have one without the other.
No.
And that's why I like those. That's why I have I kind of hero worship the crossovers, even though they're all horrible.
Yeah, because
it represents a coming togetherness of you need them.
Yeah.
You need each other.
Yeah,
they feed
absolutely.
into each other.
Absolutely. Image.
Right.
No, it's just for me. It's not about like who's behind the publishing, as long as the story's good.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter.
No, I agree.
I have no it's not even a brand loyalty thing. I just want the stories I want.
I have expectations of those brands.
Oh,
where I'm like,
certainly.
you should hit this level.
Certainly.
And that's why like Top Shelf, Dark Horse, and Image always beat them for some reason. When it comes to like, oh, this is really printed well. Why can't you do this? You have all this money and influence. You've been doing it for longer. I don't understand why you can't do it better.
Right.
But in any case, I like them both equally.
Yes.
I guess that's a cop-out answer, but I don't care. But we want to thank you all so much for hanging out.
This ended up not being a
shorter episode.
Do you have any recs?
Extermination comes out next week or this week. It will continue to move towards the future of the X-Men. I don't think it will be as influential as I expect the Uncanny X-Men 10-part miniseries to be.
Okay.
If you're not familiar, Uncanny X-Men is going to go into like a 10-part story called Disassembled.
Really?
Yep. And Wolverine's not in it, but that's weird. But like in any case, it will lead to one big writer working on the Uncanny title.
Okay.
And everyone who's working on X-Men right now, except for X-Men Red, will be working on the Uncanny book.
Oh.
So I don't know what Extermination's going to do. Probably take all the young X-Men and put them the hell away.
Okay.
But either way, I think it's a 4-issue miniseries, so like check it out.
Okay.
I'll read the first issue, and I'll probably read Infinity Wars #2. Everybody raked me over the coals over my review of Infinity Wars 1 before. I don't care, and I stand by it, but I'm going to read issue 2 and see how it goes.
There you go. That's why we have so many different books, guys, because like everybody has different tastes and different expectations of books, and like if we didn't, everything would be the same. We'd have like 2 comics and that would be it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
For me, it's a magical week. Magic Order #3 comes out, written by Mark Miller with art by Olivier Coipel. You know I love it, so just take my word for it. It's like 6 issues. Just go get it.
Yeah.
And then from Marvel, I guess it's a recommendation. I've kind of been on board for Doctor Strange by Mark Waid, so I'm definitely checking out the next one.
Yeah.
Just because I don't think this will be a tie-in. I don't think so. I don't know. I'm
Good.
gonna say I don't remember, but yeah, I'm gonna check it out.
Totally.
Magic. Do it.
So before we go, see us on Wednesday at 7 p.m. See us on September 15th on Saturday at the Keystone Comic-Con. We really want to meet you and see you there. And we want to blow the doors off this convention. They invited us out to be there. They gave us a panel, sight unseen.
It's very crazy.
Let's make it like not. Let's make them not regret it.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll see you in Baltimore.
Right.
Edu McLean, by the way, another donation. Love your channel. Thank you, Edu. We do appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next time with another episode of The Rack. If you are waiting for the Purple Show, probably not going to do that today. She's not feeling great. Well, we might, but stay tuned to your Twitter account for an announcement.
That's right.
That's twitter.com/TheRealZoobs. You do not need an account to watch or look at the tweets, but keep an eye on them for the next 2 hours.
Yep.
And that's where she'll make an announcement.
Yes.
As to whether she's feeling up to it. I don't want to speak for her, so,
Thanks. I appreciate it.
We'll see you guys next time with another episode of Off the Rack. Thank you all for hanging out with us. And, of course, by the way, you can also catch this on the audio version if you subscribe to us on iTunes and on Podbean and Stitcher and wherever podcasts are found.
Nice.
It's under the Elseworlds Exchange podcast. So I throw out a bonus episode of Elseworlds every week. If you listen to Elseworlds, you know about this already. But if you don't listen to Elseworlds already, first of all, you should, because it's a great show. But you should also subscribe to the channel on the audio version to catch this show while also, getting a bunch of other new shows. So, we'll see you guys then. Thanks a lot for watching, and that's all. Bye.
Bye.